London, where they very kindly lent me this brand spanking new Triumph Tiger Sport 660. First impressions, very, very cool. Looks modern, and actually a lot smaller than I was thinking. You see over there, that's the Triumph Tiger 900 Rally Pro, which I've done a few reviews on. Take a look if you want to see that. But that's a lot bigger than this bike. It's a lot smaller, more compact, and I'm very interested to see how this rides. Anyway, what we're going to do is jump on, and what I like to do on my reviews, just go for a first initial ride, and then after that we'll park up somewhere nice and go into the details, more about the specifications and how it all makes the bike feel and perform. Bare bones first impressions of the bike. First off, lovely clutch feel. Let's start her up. Ooh. Okay, so obviously it's got the triple engine, nice looking dash. Ooh. And we're off. Full disclosure, I've just jumped off of a Triumph Speedmaster, which I own for my personal bike. So this is very different feeling, much more leaning forwards. God, yeah, it's going to take a minute to get used to it. But all of the other reviews, I don't know if you've seen any on YouTube yet, or any vids, MCN, etc. It's got glowing reviews, this, and obviously it is pretty much exactly the same bike as the Triumph Trident 660. Exactly the same engine and everything. It's basically just taller. It's got a fairing, so a bit more wind protection, and obviously a screen. That is pretty much it. I've actually never ridden the Trident. This is my first experience with this engine. First impressions, it's nimble. The motor feels so linear. I'm being really honest there. The motor really does feel linear, first impressions, being a triple. Oh, this is oh yeah, it's giving me that feeling. Oh, it's got that triple whine, obviously, but it's got that sort of very faint but very quick, buzzy vibes slightly through the handlebars, which is a good thing. Oh, and it turns in nicely. Turns in very nicely. The cockpit, shall we call it, for want of a better term. I really like the cockpit. Sort of, you got this tank protruding up here, which makes you feel like you're sitting in the bike, which is nice. And then it sort of goes down a bit with the TFT and LCD screen here, which is it's really quite nice. It feels quite premium, actually. Right, let's get out of town, or let's do town riding first. It's splendid in town. It's yeah, really easy, light clutch, very thin handlebars, and the engine's just so smooth and tractable. It's just, there's no surprises, it feels like, and it's not a huge bike, as I was saying earlier, so it's really nice for just nipping around. Oh yeah, it's got a nice bit of poke though. Right, let's go find some nicer roads and I'll catch up with you there. Okay guys, on some nicer roads here. Immediately, which they do as an option, I would want a quick shifter with this, 100%. It would make it so nice and smooth. But other than that, let's just start with the engine. So what are we talking? We got 80 brake horsepower from a 660cc Triumph triple. 64 newton meters of torque. Excuse me, that may be wrong. I'll put a title up if it is. As I was saying earlier, it feels really tractable. It feels like a really good, safe motor, but fun as well. I can see what all the rave's about, whereas this is such a good bike for new riders and for the experienced as well. It's such a smooth motor. And it's fun up the top end. Very nice. Nice engine braking as well. Yeah, so obviously it's a triple, it's going to be smooth, but it's not got the T-plane crank like the new Tigers do, Triumph Tigers, so it's a genuine triple. It's quite an exciting bike. I think this bike would be great as a as a first bike, dare I say it, if you have your full license. My first bike was a Tracer 700, and that was a brilliant bike, but different to this. It had the it's got a parallel twin, great engine, and this is, it feels, it's a similar it's in the same category, isn't it? It's a mid-sized, all-round sort of sports touring motorbike, and it's really good at that. Yeah, in terms of it being good for first-time riders, there's no surprises in the engine. It's just linear the whole way up, so if you don't know what that means, it's, if you're a new rider, it's just sort of smooth the whole way up. There's no sudden peaks of torque or increases in power. It's just like a smooth power curve. I believe that's so good for a first time rider, because you're not going to get any shocks. It's not like a whole wedge of torque suddenly going to boof, throw you down the road or anything. And it's so predictable, the motor. It really is a brilliant bike. So I haven't even gone into the review yet. Okay guys, so I've managed to find a half Scenic spot here. First impressions, I'm really impressed with the bike. It feels really nice to ride, nice and light. Got a very tractable engine, so really, I thought this was meant to be a quiet lane. It's busy. It's a very tractable engine, really nice. It's got the 80 brake horsepower and 64 Newton meters of torque, but there's really no surprises there in the motor. It's so tractable and smooth. It's a really, really good engine. Power-wise, if you're looking for a big, powerful bike, this is not it. It's a lovely motor and it's plenty quick enough, but if, you know, compared to a GS 1200 Tiger, for example, obviously this is 660, so it's not mega quick, but it's plenty to have fun on, I can tell you that. Okay, so moving on, another car. Moving on, suspension and tyres and wheels. So you've got 17-inch front, 17-inch rear. It's nimble, it is nimble, handles very well. Yeah, it's very much a road bike. There's no intentions at all to go off-road here. It's got the cast wheels. Yeah, they're not pretending to be an adventure bike. This is a middleweight sports tourer. So suspension, you've got front, you've got upside down Showa forks. The rear's also Showa. They both have 150mm travel. The diameter of the front suspension's 45mm. Riding it on the road feels really nice. It's actually feeds into the overall my thoughts of this bike, which we'll get onto in a bit. We'll go out for another ride. Very capable, planted, and just efficient, I'd say. I mean, it's not massively characterful, but it works and it's very good. We'll get onto that later, but the suspension's really, really good. No bad points. Very nice handling, very nimble. So the seat height, guys, 835mm. Because it's actually one seat. It's not a split for the pillion seat, so it's not adjustable up and down. Some guys going for a bike ride. Staying healthy, good for the mental health. Seat is non-adjustable, it's 835mm. You can, if you order new, opt for a low seat height, which personally I probably wouldn't do. I'm 5'9", but I can see that some people would want to do that. I'll hop on now and just show you where my feet are on the ground. It's a beginner bike, maybe a little bit high. You might want to opt for the low seat height. So this is 5'9", and you can just about flat foot it, but I'm really pushing the seat down. It's not too high by any means, but if you're a new rider, the low seat may be a good option for you. So last point on the suspension, it does have a nice preload adjuster here, so if you're carrying a pillion or you're putting panniers on, you can nicely adjust it here. Now the front is non-adjustable, but the rear, very easy. Nice toggle here, preload. So I want to get back on and go for a ride, get a better feel for it. We'll have another chat. But lastly here, whilst we're here, what do you think about the looks? I actually didn't like it that much to start off with, if I'm being honest. But it is growing on me. It looks quite sporty. And it's got some very nice sort of flowing lines to it, I think. The front fairing, especially, as I'm told, the rear seat, which is why you can't adjust the seat height because it's one piece, but it flows really nicely on the rear end here. I think it's a really nice, for bikes these days, it's got a really nice, clean, a lovely rear end. The Tiger Sport 660 has. To a fun section before we go. What does Triumph 660cc smooth triple engine with 80 brake horsepower and 64 Newton meters of torque, how does she sound? Let's find out. Hope that came across. With the standard exhaust, sounds pretty naughty. I'm actually really impressed. I rode the 1250 Harley Sportster S the other day, and this actually sounds a fair bit louder and naughty. I know it's a different engine, but yeah, thumbs up Triumph. That's a really good sound, I think. Okay, last one, I promise. Just show you the dash quickly. I'm a big fan of it. It's not too complicated. You've got a sort of LCD mixed with a colour TFT, and the modes, I think a lot of potentially higher priced bikes and more powerful bikes could take a point from this. It still looks really nice, but it's really simple. I'll show you the buttons here. You have arrows left and right, up and down. A mode button for your riding modes. There's only 2 riding modes, which is great, rain and road, and then a tick for when you want to select. That's it. So I think that's really good. If I just show you quickly, won't do the whole screen. So you press the mode button and then just press the right arrow once and then the tick and you're in rain. Press mode again, right, tick, road. Okay guys, so enough of that, let's get back on the road. Enough of the details. How does she feel again? It takes a while to get used to motorbikes. It's really hard to go out within sort of a couple of hours and get to really know a bike, I find, personally. But my overall experience from this is just as a purely a motorbike, if we're not talking aesthetics or cool or cruisery or a certain type of bike, as just a technical motorbike, is this one of the best I've ever ridden? It might well be, you know. Whether it's that triple engine just being so smooth. I mean, I really enjoyed the Tiger 900, the new one, the Rally Pro, and that had the T-plane crank engine, but this is just straight up triple, and with the 17-inch wheels for the road, the suspension setup, the basicness, and I think this is a bonus actually. It's not that basic, it's got everything you need bar cruise control, which is a shame, but other than that, the basicness of it, of the tech, and just the whole package, it's a really good motorbike, this. If you're thinking about getting one or thinking about test riding one, really give it a go. It's really cool. I've said it too many times or not, it's really good for a first bike, or if you're just looking for something that's incredibly efficient. Everything on it works. There's not really any chinks in its armour, let's say that. It's a very efficient, good bike. We'll go with the weight of it. The weight's 206 kilograms wet, so it's, compared to some bikes out there, this is not a heavy bike. Oh, it needs a quick shifter. If you get this bike, guys, go for the quick shifter. It would make this sweet. Oh, and even just if like when you blip the throttle on the downshift, that triple just so smooth, buttery smooth. Okay, any bad points? Let's shame to finish on those, but got to be done. I think personally I wouldn't buy it for myself, purely because I'd want something bigger, and that's just a personal preference. If I'm going for my next bike, an adventure bike or whatever it be, I would go for something bigger. I've made the mistake before of buying the smaller engine and then growing out of it. This is nippy though, but yeah, that's not really a bad point, but it's a personal point from me. Another bad point, could you say the looks are a bit, I mean, they're not cool, but it's an all-round sports tourer. It's not going to look like a Harley or a Triumph Bonneville. God, I'm struggling with the bad points. Help me out in the comments if you know any. I can't. I suppose if you want a torquey motor, oh, it's so tractable, this engine. If you want a torquey motor, then this has got torque, but a twin is okay, here we go. It's probably not as characterful as a twin. I would say the Yamaha Tracer 700 engine is probably more characterful. Oh, but not as fun as this. Not as efficient as this. But it does have a bit more, you know, it's got that twin, parallel twin. You have to ride it to understand, but it is more characterful in a different way. That general midweight sports tourer looks is not my cup of tea. So that's a downside, but looks are, you know, individual. Great motorbike team. Come and test ride it. Thanks for watching. It's been Red Ang Revival. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed this brief review. I'm looking at getting the bike for a longer time. This is just a first impressions. Overall, brilliant bike, really worth a ride, guys. And if you're looking for a first bike, don't look past this. Definitely test it. It is powerful, but one last point. This is going to make a complete hash of this. One last point, the brakes, the front brakes, really good. Double piston, 2 calipers, Nissan brakes. They're really nice. Till next time, take it easy. Ciao bella.